Hi guys, Luton here, back with some more Arma 3. And today I'm going to be talking and showing you about the ZEUS tool. Now if you haven't seen the ZEUS game mode within Arma 3, it's new, and it basically enables you to create live missions within a multiplayer server, as well as placing new units, editing them, playing them live yourself, giving rewards as well to friendly units who have completed missions or just generally need backup support. Now it basically gives you all of the tools you may have. It's like being a live dev in game. You can just do everything you can imagine. It's something that you do need to basically often be given permission from the server owner, so it's not something you can just hop in and do yourself, but it does show you the kind of amazing situations that can arise within Arma 3, and I have been using this live on the Ahoy World server, as well as perhaps also the BVR server. Those guys there were talking about getting it set up to run some missions. There's a lot you can do with this tool, and I have only just scratched the surface in the last week, getting to grips and kind of understanding what you can do here. Now here we are on the island south of the main airbase in Invade and Annex on Altis, and I'm putting together a mission for the guys to complete, and I'll show you how they get on with this mission later on. It's actually recorded that whole live session as well. Now basically when you're the ZEUS, you can place down any unit you like. You can create an entire in-game fiction around that. You can set objectives for the friendlies to complete. You can also of course edit it live whilst it's being played out, so once this is set actually live to play, you can add more units, you can revive guys, you can place new threats for the guys coming in, so the friendlies may approach the base that you have set up for them to take down, but then hey, maybe the enemy gets some reinforcements, they have to deal with that, maybe they have to defend it. There's a range of different missions you can set. You can set objectives to control an area, to take and kind of king of the hill it. You can set objectives to kind of destroy an enemy unit like this guy right here, or you can set a cache, for example, or some kind of building that needs to be destroyed. The opportunities are endless, and it only requires your imagination to really put it into play. So right now what I wanted to do was I'd found this lovely little cave right here that I wanted to use for this mission. And really what I imagined was this guy right here is like an enemy spy. I'm looking through all the units here, so you can see here basically all the enemy units, and I'm kind of looking through trying to choose what it is that I want to. So I'm going to take an officer right here. I'm going to set his skill level to whatever it is that I want. You can set rank, you can set their stance to stay in basically. You can also set enemy units or friendly units, whatever you want to patrol an area, follow waypoints, etc. If you set down patrols, and you'll see that we do that shortly as well when we start getting into actually placing those things down. This is a whole session as well today. It's 16 minutes or so, which is actually pretty quick really, considering what it is that you put together in that time. So once you get to grips with it a little bit, you can really sort of start thrashing these things out, and it really doesn't take very much to put together quite an interesting small mission for the guys to complete. The best thing about it is that you can do it anywhere on the entire map. So it means that, for example, with Invade and Annex, we know that certain areas tend to, that's where the bases tend to appear generally. It's not completely rare, they seem to appear in the same kind of places. And so with this ZEUS mission, it's awesome because you can kind of choose anywhere on the entire map that you want, places that you never would normally go to, and set up an entire base there. There are also some preset bases within the tool table right here, so again, if you don't really have time to kind of custom create an entire base, you can just slap one down, put some units in, set it, and it's good to go. So you can actually do it quite quickly if you want to give the guys some extra objectives like on the fly. So having selected my couple of units right there, I'm just going to go into here and sort of select some more bits and pieces. Now I wanted some buildings here, I wanted to kind of add stuff to this base. Also, you notice that I'm putting independence down instead of the OPFOR. The reason you're placing independence is because in Invade and Annex anyway, there's a limit to how many OPFOR can actually spawn within a certain area. So by placing the independence, it basically means that you then don't have a clash with how many people are spawning in the main objective areas. It means it doesn't detract from those main missions that are happening there, so it's kind of important that you do that. So basically here I was just kind of browsing. Again, you're just kind of looking through, sort of thinking, what do I want to place down right here? And it's actually good because it gives you an example of kind of the stuff that you can place down. And it just shows you the range of things that you can put. It's basically everything that exists in the game that you can place. Okay, here we are, look, military bunker unit, okay? Massive military sort of warehouse building. There's a hangar, okay, that you recognize those hangars from the side missions. Here, a small sandbag bunker. I was trying to find the kind of building. There are a larger concrete sort of office building. And I was trying to find the kind of building that I wanted to use. Bunker large. Okay, and I was like, okay, yeah, bunker large, that's not too bad. Once you've placed the building, you can actually then of course move it around. You can turn it any 360 degrees. You can place it however you want to. You can place buildings on top of each other if you wanted to. You can do pretty much anything you want with those buildings. Now, I was testing out some other bunkers right here, sort of nuclear bunker entrance. There we are. Again, I was kind of like, yeah, actually kind of like that bunker with some netting around. So we're going to place that on here, and again, it just kind of adds a little bit of interest to this kind of already existing situation. But then you can spend as much time as you want with this. You can dress it up with very fine details. You see that barrel right there? You could find that. Broken boat, you can find that. You can find all the elements that you want in the game and actually start placing those down. And again, we have the larger bunker right here. And then we're going to go on inside and actually place some more objects there to, set up this new mission. And again, you can spend as much time as you want here. You can place multiple objects within to make it seem as interesting and realistic as possible, or you can simply just drop down the objective. Now, most of these buildings within Arma are pretty empty anyway, so it wouldn't really be out of fiction to, have a fairly empty building with just one objective within it. So I actually found what I wanted here. This is originally what I wanted to do. I'm just going to demonstrate to you how this is kind of like a work in progress, because this is something that's not perfect yet. They've just brought it in. It's going to require some refinement, and basically some objects don't really interact well with one another, objects that you think would work well. So basically I placed a table here, and originally what I wanted to do was have like a laptop or hard drive or something that they were going to have to destroy. Okay, it was going to be an object that contains secret information perhaps, and the guys were going to have to come in here and blow that up, make sure it was destroyed. So here I've got the laptop and I'm sort of moving it up, but look, it's kind of behaving really bizarrely. I wanted to kind of get it up in here, so we are moving it up, and it just can't seem to sit on this table. Look, every time I pick it up, it just drops right back down again. And it's really kind of annoying. I took many attempts trying to get this to work. I tried it every which way you liked. It was just not having it. So there's something not going on right here, and again, this is all information, this is all important stuff to feed back. Gotta say though, for the most part, for something like this, which you could consider to be really problematic, I tried a different version of the laptop here to try and see if that would work, and it's still not having any effects. It's just still doing the same thing, like sinking into the object. And as I say though, this is a kind of work ongoing, and no doubt this will be changed and fixed up as we go forward, you hope anyway. But as I say, when you consider the massive complexity and the amount of sort of interactions going on, for the most part I found that the Arma ZEUS, it really does work pretty well overall, and it's still very amazing everything that you can do with it. Okay, so here we go. Eventually I scrapped that idea because it just was not working, and instead we went with the quite basic weapon cache. Alright, so instead we've got a nice big box of ammo, weapons and stuff, and that's going to be our target instead. It can be a secret box of processors or whatever you want it to be. The guys are going to have to destroy that. Okay, so now the base is pretty much set up. It's a very simple base, but it's doing exactly what I want, and I can dress it up with some chem lights and stuff when we move on into the night mission later. Okay, but so for now, the basic elements are set up, and again, I could spend a long time starting to work with that. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to equip some units within the base here. So first of all, put a rifle squad down right there, so there's a nice amount of enemy units, and I've just set there a waypoint for those guys to work between. So basically they're going to move between those two waypoints, and right now I'm just putting some sentry units down. Again, setting a waypoint for those guys, a patrol point. So they're basically going to move back and forth between those patrol points. And again, set another sentry unit there. So the initial point that I drop them down creates that point, and then I drop another waypoint which tells them where to move between. You see those units immediately, there we go, start moving. Again, those guys will patrol up and down between that area. We can see right there, there's our officers, the special forces guys, and the civilian. Alright, so we've got a couple of patrolling guys right there. We've also got a sniper team moving around there. So basically what I wanted to do here was to ensure that I was giving enough resistance that it was going to be difficult for the guys. We're going to have to move up very carefully. And again here, look, we just got a fire team squad. So slightly less heavily armed than the rifle squad, but kind of a more sort of medium unit to be moving on the south side of the island. And again, set a patrol there, moving horizontally north to south across the island. Or is it, no, sorry, west to east even. And then what I wanted to do was to actually cruise some guys in this bunker itself, okay, make sure some guys in there. And again, this can be tricky because you're basically having to place the unit at ground level, or first floor if you're in the US, and then move it up onto the higher level. So it's a little bit kind of weird and difficult to actually get the kind of angle you need to actually move the units around there. So I'm going to show exactly how this goes. So you place the guy in here and you see he's on the ground. And then you've got to pull him up onto the higher level. And trying to do this in line so it doesn't kill him can be a little tricky. There he is. It drops down onto the object. And once he's down, so he's in a bit of a weird place there, I can just move him across and then he's good to go. And again, you can move him, look, in and around the... You can tell him to crouch or go prone, and he will just stand there basically as if he's kind of, you know, controlling that position. He's standing guard as a sentry, and until he sees enemy, he's just there kind of, you know, on a yellow light ready to go. Okay, same as all these units. Okay, they are active, they're ready to fire as soon as you place them down there live. If they see an enemy unit, they will engage it. And in Invade and Annex here on this multiplayer mission, basically independents, they are kind of neutral to the OPFOR, but they will engage any NATO forces they see. So that's actually a good option basically to have on this. So we've placed a couple of extra sentry units in right there, and generally things are kind of moving pretty well. So we're just coming up towards the end now of this base. So that's basically all I have done. It's been very, very straightforward. We've just put a few units down, and that's really all that's required. And this kind of small elements of these games, it really kind of just adds interest to it. Okay, adds interest to the Invade and Annex missions, because as I say, you just get to play in environments that you normally wouldn't. These islands never get used for anything, and so placing these guys in here really, really helps out. Now I'm going to go on and show you some more stuff with Zeus later on this week and further coming up, and I'll show you some kind of fire missions. I'll show you where I can control and take over enemy players. I'll show how I make the current Invade and Annex missions more interesting by sort of bringing players in there, and there's going to be a hell of a lot more that we can do with this stuff going forward. As I say, it's hugely varied. I've already had a ton of playtime with this stuff, so I'll be sure to be capturing any kind of interesting events that happen with this, and perhaps some more missions. I will be live streaming. I did a whole live stream of the Zeus missions, and so if you want to see that, it should be on my Twitch, but get back and check on that. I'll be doing more live streaming sessions with that as we go forward. As I say, I also did record actually the whole session when the guys were actually completing this mission, and again I'll try and put that together with you and show you guys how this turns out. It was actually pretty good clearance from the guys there, and they ended up being a night mission as well, which made it all the more interesting. So now the last thing to do is actually set those custom objectives. Alright, so once you've put everything in place, you're now going to be setting it as a live objective for the guys to play out. So basically putting in destroy experimental weapons. And then we set a waypoint map marker. That's what they will see it as on the map themselves. So they'll destroy experimental weapons. Just play it in again. Then we go into the description and just write out what it is they're going to see, what it's going to come up as that they have to do. So it says enemy spy. It's basically bringing in these experimental weapons and they need to destroy them. And then once you put that together, you can basically go ahead and make that live. And that's going to pop up for the guys in the server. It's going to suddenly appear on their map or whatever, and it's going to be an objective for them to complete. But here's the thing, there we are, it comes up for them, destroy experimental weapons. So that's now a live mission for the guys to complete. But here's the thing, okay, it's not automated like Invade and Annex, right? It doesn't just complete, you manually have to state that that has been completed. So you need to be, as Zeus, watching the mission, you need to make sure that the guys complete it and destroy what is required, and then that mission is basically successfully carried out. And here we are, I set the second mission to kill the spy right here. And then that is basically set as well. That will pop up for the guys. Now again, as the Zeus, you can then, you know, decide, okay, what rewards they're going to get. You can type this out live in game chat. You can say, okay guys, there's 2 new objectives, and if you complete them, I'm going to give you an A164 wipeout. Okay, that's usually incentive enough to try and get people to come on board and actually do these things. And that's what's really great about being Zeus, is you can set these kind of live missions. It adds interest to the game, it adds, you know, some difficulty to the game, but actually enables you to kind of give the guys some live rewards at the same time. Because, you know, when you complete the missions in INA, you sometimes don't often get the rewards that you want to. So with this, you can actually do that. Or you could even say to the guys, hey, okay, if you complete this mission, what do you want? What do you actually need right now? You can give them rewards in that sense as well. But also remember, as Zeus, you can make their lives more difficult. You can give them benefits. You can call in, fire support. You can call in howitzers. You can call in gun runs from the A10, the A164. You can pull that stuff in. It's a really, really good tool, and I've been having a hell of a lot of fun actually using it. I'll show you some more live gameplay of this stuff, because this was a mission setup. I wanted to give you guys an idea of kind of the stuff that you can do with Zeus, because it's really, really interesting. It's great how it plays out. But I think to show you live in game actually editing and sort of playing some of these things whilst other players are on the ground, it's going to be the next thing to do with this stuff. I hope you've enjoyed this today, guys. If you have, as always, drop it a like. A lot more Arma 3 stuff coming up very soon. I'll see you next time.